Hey guys, I'm Ross. I run Word Horde, cutting edge horror and fantasy fiction, kind of stuff you like. I want to tell you about a book that's brand new out. It is She Said Destroy by Nadia Bulkin. Yeah, you're going to love this. Check this out. Bulkin serves up cerebral horror with plenty of bite. That's Publishers Weekly's starred review. Terrifying and sublime, says Simon Stranzis, the author of Nightingale Songs. Hip, ultra-contemporary, politically astute, and chilling stories, says Nick Mamatas, author of I Am Providence and The Last Weekend. A dose of delicious darkness, says Sylvia Moreno Garcia, World Fantasy Award-winning editor. Here's the back cover text. A dictator craves love and horrifying sacrifice from his subjects. A mother raised in a decaying warren fights to reclaim her stolen daughter. A ghost haunts a luxury hotel on a blood-stained land. A new babysitter uncovers a shocking family curse. A final girl confronts a broken-winged monster. Word Horde presents the debut collection from critically acclaimed weird fiction author Nadia Bulkin. Dreamlike, poignant, unabashedly socio-political, She Said Destroy includes 3 stories nominated for the Shirley Jackson Award, 4 year's best anthology selections, and 1 original tale, with an introduction by Paul Tremblay. And that introduction is what I want to read to you in just a sec here, but I also want to say, if you're picking this up, we want your book face photos. So put it on your social media, tag Word Horde, tag me, and if we dig it, we might send you something cool. So this is the introduction by Paul Tremblay. If you don't know Paul, you should be reading Paul. So here we go. And he starts with a quote from Nadia from Intertropical Convergence Zone. At the very beginning of time, the general ate a bullet. If I could be allowed to intro the intro with a small bit of fanish personal indulgence, the opening story to this collection, Intertropical Convergence Zone, isn't the first story Nadia published, but it is the first story of hers I read. It was published summer of 2008 by the venerable Chizine, a now defunct webzine that remains near and dear to my heart. My winning their 2003 fiction contest, Nadia won their 2010 contest with Pugelbone, was the first, hey, maybe I can do this boost to my fledgling career. And I then spent a few years as one of Chizine's fiction editors. I was no longer an editor at the zine at the time of her story's publication, but I was jealous of all who got to read it before me. I read it late one summer night, cursing the white letters on black background that had me blinking and blurry afterwards. And if I didn't actually say the following out loud, I'm willing to bet that I did, I thought, holy shit, who wrote this? She had me hooked from the opening sentence, quoted above. Being an invertebrate music geek, I compare the excitement of finding a new-to-me author to discovering a new band. At first, I selfishly hoard the music and lyrics to myself. Look what I found. It's mine, all mine. But that stage rapidly morphs into obsessive proselytizing, telling everyone I know about my new favorite band and making them listen and then judging them if they do or don't get it. Yeah, that's how I felt after reading Intertropical Convergence Zone, Nadia's blistering and gut-wrenching reimagining of the Sutarno presidency in Indonesia. I was a juror for the Shirley Jackson Awards the year her story was published, and I took a fan's unearned and obnoxious pride in my fellow jurors' joy at reading, discussing, and then nominating the story for the award. It was his fans first, clumsy editors second, that John Langan and I asked Nadia if she would write a story for our Creatures, 30 Years of Monsters anthology. Most of that book is comprised of reprints, and we only had the budget for 2 original stories. Nadia was at the top of our list with Absolute Zero, the brilliant and weird and melancholy inversion of Frankenstein in which a lonely Nebraskan teen's deadbeat dad is a stag-headed monster. It's included in this collection. She Said Destroy will infect you, and then you'll be pressing this book into other people's hands like you once forced your friends to listen to mixtapes. Sorry, I'm old. Or mix CDs, see previous parenthetical, of your favorite bands. I'll try not to beat the music metaphors to death, too late. But I don't feel bad about it, as Nadia has lyric quotes and song references on her website, so there. But Nadia is a punk rocker. Because I will always be your general. Nadia has a clear, personal, academic, and professional interest in politics, and the politics of Southeast Asia specifically. She grew up in Indonesia and lived through the turmoil and chaos prior and post-fall of President Suharto. She later earned advanced degrees in political science and international politics. Her MA thesis was titled Constructing the National Project Towards Democratic Nationalism in Indonesia. Part of the magic of Nadia's fiction is that her stories are rooted in the complexity and nuance of sociopolitics without ever being didactic or staid. Nadia has a fierce sense of justice, particularly when it comes to how politics affects the ordinary citizens and forgotten people who live at society's edges, and righteous outrage at the broken compact of the social order. These incredibly taut stories are alive, intelligent, humane, so of our time as to be prophetic, and unlike the work of anyone else writing contemporary horror fiction. Within her integrity of vision, she manages a delicate balance of anger, empathy, and melancholy, so resonant and recognizable to those who dare pay attention to what's happening around them and within the wider world. In Nadia's fictional universe, regional myth and brutal realism are as blurred as betrayal and loyalty, and her expertly wrought characters perform or attempt to survive horrific acts in the name of one or both. We're not turning into better people, but our retribution is getting closer. We are made to see and to be able to identify the lasting strain of violence perpetrated by individuals and by the state. The body politic is itself the monster here. You live in a monster's empire, a ravenous entity that consumes its downtrodden constituents, the ones who can see their own end coming, just as it eventually consumes the queens and kings who are willing to feed it whatever and whomever it demands. Within the pages of She Said Destroy, you'll find a man willing to do anything to be a forever president, and another man who must painfully supply the grease to those grinding political gears. A rage-fueled final girl batters and bests an all-too-familiar murderous monster. Dumb beast can't help it, and we can't help them. A dystopic underground nightmare built on the broken backs of ancestry and class. A poor babysitter is charged with watching the cursed children of a well-to-do family who were born lucky. A hotel that once hosted a notorious war criminal now houses an unexpected ghost, and a tour de force reimagining of Innsmouth via Indonesia. A final signal of truth emitted from some deep crevice of the world. Listen. Not every story here is overtly political. What is also startling about She Said Destroy is its range of subjects and characters, including the lost Midwest small-town teens of Only Unity Saves the Damned, who yearn to escape their depressed fiscal destiny through a faked viral video about a local legend, another Midwest small town haunted by the ghost next door with 7 Minutes in Heaven, and the bullied schoolgirls bent on otherworldly revenge of Girl, I Love You. However, Nadia knows politics are impossible to avoid in fiction, especially, I would argue, in horror fiction. And she knows refusing to choose a side is, in fact, making a choice. Nadia chooses to tell the stories of the outcasts and disenfranchised. Her stories are transgressive and progressive, like most of the best horror stories are. The best horror stories, the ones that stay with you long past the reveal or the affect, are the ones that expose their characters to a calamitous, horrific truth that changes everyone and everything irreparably. There is no restoration for the status quo. Change is forever. The reader is, of course, changed too. In the socio-political horror stories, Nadia's apt self-description of She Said Destroy, we're confronted with uncomfortable truths about family, religion, politics, and our place within all three we cannot ignore or avoid. Nadia dares ask her characters, and by proxy us, her readers, the most difficult questions in art and literature. Why is the world like this now? Will it always be like this? What are we going to do now? How does anybody live through this? How are you going to live through this? The answers in She Said Destroy are a defiant call, and they are as boundless and as terrifying as the collective hope and horror of us. And last, the darkness. Paul Tremblay, May 29th, 2017. She Said Destroy by Nadia Bulkin. It's out now. We released it on Saturday, H.P. Lovecraft's birthday. We launched it at Necronomicon in Providence. My good friend Scott Jones was selling them at the Martian Migraine booth. But you can get these at wordhoard.com. You can get these at better bookstores. And you can get them at the usual online places. I urge you to take a look at this. I published it. I'm biased, but I'm calling it the collection of the year. I think you'll dig it. Thanks for tuning in.